When it comes to convenience, most of the time it's going to be the zoom lens you gravitate to. However, if you're looking for some more bokeh and better low light performance, I'll be nudging you towards prime lenses. When we first start out in photography and video, zoom lenses can seem like the first and easiest choice. But there's some stuff to learn about prime lenses and zoom lenses. What do you think is sharper, a zoom lens at f4 or a prime lens at f4? They're not the same, but most often, the prime lens is sharper when the aperture is closed down. Another difference you'll notice is that you can get more bokeh out of your prime lens. You open up your aperture to f2, f1.8, f1.4, or f1.2, where you can achieve more shallow depth of field. In addition, because prime lenses can open up to f2, f1.8, f1.4, f1.2, you can get more light into your sensor. You can actually achieve a much cleaner image in low light. Whereas in zoom lenses, the widest you can open the aperture in most of them is f2.8, unless you're rocking one of those Canon lenses that open up to f2.0. In regards to weight, prime lenses are generally lighter than zoom lenses, depending on how wide the aperture can actually open. The bigger an aperture your lens has, the heavier it's going to be. In zoom lenses, there's much more glass to help cover all the focal lengths, so this is definitely true to the fact. Here we have two amazing lenses that produce beautiful images when their apertures are wide open, but they are heavy for it. This prime lens, the Sony 50mm f1.2, weighs 27.5 ounces, or 778 grams. The 24-70mm f2.8 comes in at 31.4 ounces, or 890 grams. They just made a second version of this that is even lighter than the Sony 50mm f1.2. It comes in at 695 grams. Either way, both of these kinds of lenses can easily get heavy or light, depending on what you actually choose. So right now it's going to be a tie for both of these categories. For our next category, we have stealth. If you got a fast-paced shoot, like for a wedding or some kind of event, you'll often find yourself in awkward spots just trying to capture that spontaneity around you. Unless you have a telephoto prime lens, you're trying to be discreet. Most of the time, you'll be moving up to your subject if you want to get a particular framing. For zoom lenses, they're versatile for different situations. You don't have to bring multiple different prime lenses to shoot photo and video, you just bring the one. The 24-70mm zoom lens is very popular when it comes to shooting events, like weddings. You got your wide angles covered, as well as your telephoto angles. You save time, and you don't even have to worry about having a second camera body. At least you can get different kinds of shots without investing in another camera body and having a separate lens with that, especially if you don't have the budget for it. However, despite saving time with zoom lenses, you're also kind of promoting laziness. Alright, relax, just kidding. It's convenience. Like I said, it's versatile, especially when you have a kit lens as your first lens. Great. But do note that as you tend to upgrade from like the kit lens to much faster lenses for your zoom lens, things start to get heavier. Those wide apertures like 16-35, 24-70, 70-200 at f2.8, yeah, they don't just get heavy, but they also get expensive. Again, this is most ideal when you're shooting like some wildlife, capturing a bride and groom down the aisle, or across the room from their dinner table. This is when your low light camera needs to shine by using your fast glass. If I'm going to shoot an event, most likely I'll bring along my favorite zoom lens, the 24-105 f4. However, because I anticipate shooting indoors where low light is going to be a struggle, I'll at least bring a mid-range prime lens like a 35 or 50mm f1.8. For a casual day trip with my wife, I'll go out and bring a prime lens because it's just easy to carry around and I can get some pretty good bokeh out of my images. Not that I can't get any bokeh out of my zoom lens either, but sometimes I like to challenge myself creatively when I leave my zoom lenses at home. If I had to choose one lens though for the rest of my life, it would be a zoom lens, specifically the 24-105. Just for all that versatility with a constant aperture at f4, Although I have heard Tamron's 24-150 f2.2.8 is pretty sweet as well, but I haven't had the chance to try it out. If you made me stick to a prime lens for the rest of my life, it would be the 50mm f1.2. As someone who loves shooting portraits and other everyday moments, this lens just hits the sweet spot for me. But what about you? What lens do you like to use most of the time? When it comes to which is better between prime lens or zoom lens, it's really what you're photographing and filming. I mean, whatever lens you wind up getting, hopefully you've tried both prime lens and zoom lens. If not, then perhaps you should consider trying out the one you haven't used yet. If you're coming from a zoom lens, prime lenses look pretty limiting. You might even have a little bit of FOMO when you travel and you don't have the exact focal length you want for a particular composition. However, if you feel stuck in your photography, it's still worth checking out. Use it a few times. Push yourself to compose your frames with your feet. For those of you who continue to use prime lenses, perhaps you can try a worthy zoom lens that'll fit your style of shooting. If you don't have a budget for a second body, the extra focal length and a zoom lens will keep you covered. So you want to get pretty nice image quality through lenses and sensors, eh? But when it comes to 4K versus 1080, you think you can spot the difference in this video? For now, thanks again for watching. Now go out there and shoot for the life that matters. See ya!